You've probably heard the story of Joseph and his famous coat, right? But do you really know what this coat represented? Stick with us until the end of this video to discover all the details of this garment that changed the history of a family. And of course, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more biblical curiosities. Joseph was Jacob's beloved son, and this affection was expressed in a special way through a unique coat. A gift that not only demonstrated his father's love, but also placed Joseph in a prominent position among his brothers. But do we know everything about this coat? Was it really colorful, as many believe? And what does the original text reveal about the true meaning of this garment? Stay tuned, because the answer might surprise you. Before we continue, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any details from the most intriguing stories in the Bible. Go ahead, click the bell, and join us. To understand the true meaning of Joseph's coat, we need to go back in time and dive into his family's context. Joseph was Jacob's favored son, not only because he was the son of Jacob's old age, but also because he was the son of Rachel, his beloved wife. This special relationship created a unique bond between father and son. This made Joseph not just a son, but a living symbol of a deep love and a promise of happiness for Jacob. However, this favoritism didn't go unnoticed by his brothers, who felt the weight of the disproportionate attention. As time passed, the tension between Joseph and his brothers only grew. Joseph would often report his brothers' wrongdoings to Jacob, which only fueled their resentment. Joseph's special coat was not just a gift. It was a clear symbol of his unique position in the family. The rivalry reached a point where Joseph's brothers couldn't even speak to him peacefully. The special coat was the last straw, solidifying the hatred and jealousy that had already existed. This leads us to the next point, where the family rivalry culminates in a plan of betrayal. Before we move on to the next chapter of this intriguing story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you'll stay updated with all the biblical curiosities and details we share here. Let's dive deeper into the amazing journey of Joseph. Joseph's coat is one of the most famous items in the biblical narrative, but what does the original text really tell us about it? Let's start with the Bible's direct description. The coat is presented as a long piece with long sleeves, with no explicit mention of vibrant colors or patterns. The Hebrew term kinit pasim refers to a long tunic with sleeves. There is no reference to a multicolored tunic, as many imagine. The idea of a brightly colored garment is a detail that was added much later, mainly due to interpretations and translations. The confusion started with the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament. In this translation, the term was interpreted as a coat of many colors, which heavily influenced how Joseph's story has been told over the centuries. As time passed, this Septuagint translation influenced other versions of the Bible, such as the Latin Vulgate and some modern translations. The result was the popularization of the image of a colorful coat, which is not present in the original Hebrew text. The true description of Joseph's coat reveals more about the clothing traditions of the time and less about the vibrant colors we imagine today. This detail may seem small, but it helps us understand how translations and interpretations shape our view of ancient stories. Joseph's coat, more than just a simple piece of clothing, is full of symbolism and meaning. It not only marked Joseph as Jacob's favorite, but it also played a crucial role in his journey and destiny. By giving this coat to Joseph, Jacob signaled his intention to designate him as the leader of the family, a role typically reserved for the firstborn. This explicit favoritism exacerbated the tension and rivalry within the family. Interestingly, the term used to describe Joseph's coat is also used for royal garments in other biblical texts, suggesting a connection to royalty and authority. The coat symbolized not only favoritism, but also an authority that Joseph did not yet fully understand. Eventually, he would be recognized as a leader, wearing the garments of the governor of Egypt. The long coat can also be interpreted as a symbol of purity and justice, reflecting the qualities that Joseph demonstrated throughout his life, even in the face of adversity. Often, the coat is depicted merely as colorful and ornate, but a deeper analysis reveals it as a symbol of dignity and leadership, pointing to the grand future awaiting Joseph. Thus, Joseph's coat was not just a garment. It was a sign of destiny, a prophecy in fabric that announced the crucial role he would play in the divine plan. Contrary to what many might think, Joseph's coat was not just a symbol of love and favor. It later became a tool of betrayal and deceit, marked by one of the greatest acts of disloyalty in the Bible. Driven by jealousy and resentment, Joseph's brothers made the cruel decision to sell him into slavery. They not only separated him from his father, but also stripped him of what he loved most. This was an unthinkable betrayal, especially as he was Jacob's favorite son. To cover their crime, Joseph's brothers used the coat to deceive their father. They tore it, stained it with blood, and brought it to Jacob, who, upon seeing it, concluded that his beloved son had been devoured by a wild animal. A cruel lie that broke Jacob's heart. Despite the betrayal and years of suffering, Joseph did not succumb to despair. He was taken to Egypt, where he faced many hardships but always maintained his faith and integrity. God was with him, and his rise was astonishing. From slave and prisoner, he became the second most powerful man in Egypt. Years later, when a great famine struck the land, Joseph's brothers, unaware that he was alive, went to Egypt seeking food. What they did not expect was that the man they had betrayed and sold would now hold the key to their survival. When Joseph finally revealed his identity, his brothers were terrified, fearing revenge. But to their surprise, Joseph forgave them. He understood that God had used even their betrayal to fulfill a greater purpose: the salvation of their family. This story of betrayal and redemption teaches us that no matter how much evil befalls us, God's plan always prevails. Even when everything seems lost, there is always a chance for redemption. For Joseph, the coat that once symbolized betrayal now became a symbol of forgiveness, restoration, and the manifestation of divine power in his life. Throughout his journey, Joseph endured many hardships, but in the end, God honored his faith and perseverance. He was not only restored but received abundant restitution. As Joseph's story shows, God's plan for our lives is always greater than we imagine, and he rewards those who trust in him. In the end, Joseph received a double portion of the inheritance, a clear symbol of honor and recognition of his role as the family leader. His sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, were counted among the tribes of Israel, a sign that Joseph's legacy would be eternal. Those who were once destined to be rejected were now celebrated as leaders and pillars of a nation. Joseph was not only restored to a position of power, but his legacy was perpetuated through the tribes of his sons. He, who was once stripped of his coat and sold into slavery, now had an inheritance that spread throughout the nation of Israel. The story of Joseph and his coat is much more than just a biblical narrative. It reflects our own life journeys. Often, we go through hardships and betrayals, feeling stripped of everything we have. But, like Joseph, we can experience God's restoration and blessings, transforming even the most painful moments into something magnificent. The coat, which once symbolized rejection and betrayal, now represents honor, redemption, and the fulfillment of divine purpose. If you have ever faced tough times or felt left behind, remember that Joseph's story teaches us there is always a chance to start anew. May your faith, resilience, and trust in God bring you the restoration and blessings He has in store for you. No matter what you have lost, God always has something greater in His plan. Now, I want to hear from you. What have you learned from Joseph's story and his coat? Leave your comment below and share your thoughts with us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content like this.